Hi, welcome back to Cbse Board Economics. I'm Saddam Hussein here. Let's learn a new concept today called operating surplus. This concept is very important while measuring national income by income method. Let's learn what exactly is operating surplus. It's not something new. We already know the four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. We also know that we pay rent to land, wages and salaries to labor, interest to the capital, and profits to the entrepreneur. So, then what exactly is operating surplus? Operating surplus, we can define it as the sum total of rent, royalty, interest, and profits. It's not something new. What exactly is royalty? That's a new concept you're learning here. Royalty is the payment made for the use of subsoil assets. Like some people have mines, they give it to someone else. In return, they don't get rent, they get royalty. And some people have patent rights. Maybe the Sony company has given the patent right to manufacture TVs in India. So the people who are manufacturing Sony TVs in India, they pay royalty to Sony company in Japan. Copyrights. So some people take royalty for copyright. So what exactly is royalty? Royalty is the payment made for the use of patent rights, copyrights, or using subsoil assets. Now, we define once again operating surplus is sum total of rent plus royalty plus interest and profits. We left out only one thing here. Keep in mind that is compensation of employees, or we call it as wages and salaries. Now, let's go back. We learned earlier net value added in the value added method, and we know that net value added at factor cost is the contribution of four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So we already discussed, so they have a share in it. That is, we have to pay rent to land, wages and salaries to labor, interest to the capital, and profits to the entrepreneurship. So now it becomes easy for us to define operating surplus. We can define operating surplus as excess of net value added at factor cost over compensation of employees, that's wages and salaries. That's, we know that net value added, we discussed it earlier, is equal to rent plus interest plus profits plus compensation of employees or wages and salaries. So by subtracting compensation of employees or wages and salaries from net value added factor cost, we get operating surplus. From the entire economy's point of view, we can say operating surplus as net value added at factor cost minus compensation of employees minus mixed income. So the formulas we have: operating surplus, there are two ways of finding it out: rent plus royalty plus interest plus profits, or we can call it as operating surplus is equal to NV at FC minus COE minus mixed income. So now let's revise once again. Operating surplus. Operating surplus in economics is defined as the sum total of rent, royalty, interest, and profits. Royalty is the payment made for the use of subsoil assets, patent, or copyrights. Since we know that the value added at factor cost, NV at FC, is the contribution of four factors of production, that's land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, and it is distributed among them as rent to land, wages and salaries to labor, interest to the capital, and profits to the entrepreneur. Hence, we can also define operating surplus as surplus of net value added at factor cost over compensation of employees, wages and salaries, and mixed income. So formula we have mentioned here. So simple formula is equal to operating surplus is equal to rent plus royalty plus interest plus profits. Mind it, profits has its components also. That is equal to undistributed profits. We can call it also as retained earnings plus dividends plus corporation tax. Operating surplus is equal to net value added at factor cost minus compensation of employees, that is wages and salaries, minus mixed income. So to revise once again in simple words, what exactly is operating surplus? It is defined as the surplus of net value added at factor cost over compensation of employees and mixed income. Because net value added at factor cost is the contribution of all the four factor incomes. And the other way of defining operating surplus is the sum total of rent, royalty, interest, and profits. The two formulae we got it now is operating surplus is equal to rent plus royalty plus interest plus profits, or operating surplus is equal to net value at factor cost minus compensation of employees minus mixed income. Operating surplus is very important in income method to calculate national income. Instead of taking the values of rent, royalty, interest, and profits, we can put them together as operating surplus while calculating national income. It really helps you in the numerical part. That, of course, we'll be doing it later. So that's all we have time. I'm sure you must have followed it. Till we meet next time, it's goodbye from Saddam Hussein. So best of luck for your board examinations. So please don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Goodbye.